All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to look under the hood of your own brain. We're talking about the science of how you learn, how you build habits, and basically how you become, well, you.
Think about it for a second. That phone buzzes in your pocket, and your hand is already moving before you even consciously think, I should check my phone. What's going on there? Is it just a simple habit, or is there something, deeper at play?
Well, it's definitely not magic. That automatic phone check is a learned behavior. It's like a tiny piece of software your brain wrote based on your past experiences. And in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct that very program. We are giving you the source code for how you learn, adapt, and build the very habits that shape your day-to-day life.
But, before we can hack the system, we really need to understand the basics. So let's start with the most fundamental question of all. What even is learning?
So all of our behaviors basically fall into two big buckets. In one corner, you've got your innate stuff, instincts and reflexes. You flinch when you hear a loud bang, right? You don't have to think about it, it's just hardwired. But in the other corner, you have everything else, all the things you've learned. Nobody is born knowing how to check their phone. That requires experience, which means it's a flexible behavior that can be changed.
So here's the textbook definition. Psychologists describe learning as any relatively permanent change in behavior or knowledge that comes directly from experience. The key words there? From experience. That's the engine that drives all of this change. It's how we adapt to the world around us.
Okay, so how does this engine actually work? Let's dive into the first major way we learn, and it all starts with a name I'm sure you've heard before, and of course some very famous dogs. We're talking about Ivan Pavlov. So Pavlov's big discovery, classical conditioning, is all about the incredible power of association. It starts with something super basic, a natural reflex. Food makes a dog salivate. No learning needed there. Then Pavlov introduced something totally unrelated, a bell. He'd ring the bell right before giving the dog food, and he did this over and over and over again. And this is where the magic happens. The dog's brain started to build a new connection. It learned to associate the bell with the food until eventually just the sound of the bell by itself was enough to make the dog start drooling. So let's just quickly break that down with the official terms. That bell, it starts out as a neutral stimulus. It means nothing to the dog. But by pairing it with the food, it transforms into a conditioned stimulus. The dog's brain literally forges a new pathway, and that automatic response of salivating now becomes a conditioned response to the bell. Just like that, a new behavior is created from a simple association.
Okay, now let's bring this into your world. I want you to think for a second. Is there a specific food out there that you can't even stand the smell of it, all because of one single bad experience you had with it years ago?
If you have one of those, you've experienced something called taste aversion. And it's a perfect real-world example of classical conditioning. It's actually a super powerful survival mechanism. Your brain learns incredibly fast. Sometimes it only takes one time to connect a certain taste with feeling sick, all to protect you from eating that thing again. But just linking two things together isn't the only way we learn. We also learn from the results, the consequences of our actions. And that brings us to our second major theory, and the work of a psychologist named B.F. Skinner.
Skinner's big idea was something called operant conditioning, and this quote right here just nails it. Basically, if you do something and a good thing happens, you're probably going to do it again. If you do something and a bad thing happens, you're probably not going to do it again. It's really that simple at its core. Okay, so this breaks down into four parts. First, you've got reinforcement, which is anything that makes you more likely to do something. It can be positive, like getting a reward, or it can be negative, which just means you remove something annoying. Think about hitting the snooze button. You're removing the awful alarm sound, which reinforces the behavior of hitting snooze. Then on the other side, you've got punishment, which makes a behavior less likely. It can be positive, like adding a chore, or negative, like taking away a teenager's phone. Now, Skinner studied all of this using rats and pigeons in a very controlled lab setup called a Skinner box. But where do we see this stuff playing out in our world? Where's our Skinner box? Honestly, it is absolutely everywhere. That satisfying little ding when you get an achievement in a video game, that's positive reinforcement. The 10th stamp on your coffee card that gets you a free one. Reinforcement. And oh man, social media likes and notifications, they are a masterclass in this, giving you these little unpredictable rewards that train you to keep checking over and over and over. So we learn by linking things together, and we learn from consequences. But what about a third way? What about learning just by watching someone else? Well, that question leads us straight to psychologist Albert Bandura and his legendary Bobo doll experiment. The setup for this was simple but kinda brilliant. Bandura had a group of kids watch a video of an adult in a room with a big, inflatable doll called Bobo. But instead of playing nicely, the adult on screen just went to town on this doll, punching it, kicking it, yelling at it.
But here's the crucial twist. After the adult was done, the kids saw one of 3 different endings. In one, the adult was rewarded for being so aggressive. In another, they were punished for it. And in the third, nothing happened at all.
And the results? They were a total game changer. The children who saw the adult get rewarded for being aggressive were way more likely to copy those exact same aggressive actions when they were later left alone in the room with the doll. They learned what to do, not from their own experience, but from watching someone else's. This is called vicarious reinforcement.
But Bandura figured out it's not as simple as just monkey see, monkey do. For this observational learning to really stick, 4 things have to line up. First, you have to pay attention. You can't learn if you're not watching. Second, you have to retain it. You have to remember what you saw. Third, you have to be physically able to reproduce the action. And last, and maybe most important, you need the motivation to actually do it, which is exactly what seeing that other person get a reward provides.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. So let's pull these 3 really powerful ideas together and look at the complete learning toolkit your brain is using literally every single day.
So there you have it, the 3 main pillars of how you learn. You learn by association, like Pavlov's dogs. You learn by consequence, like in Skinner's box. And you learn by observation, like the kids with the Bobo doll. These 3 processes are constantly running in the background, shaping everything from your morning coffee routine to your most complex skills, and even some of your deepest fears.
So here's the real takeaway. Learning isn't just some passive thing that happens to you. It's an active process you can actually influence. Now you understand the source code, the rules of association, consequence, and observation. And that means you can be the programmer. You can start to consciously build better habits and maybe even debug the ones holding you back. So the only question left is, how are you going to rewrite your code?